What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another War Within video. Hope you're all doing very well. We're on the PTR looking at Preservation Evoker. I'm going to look at the tier set bonuses soon. That's the next video. There's actually been quite a few big changes to the spec tree for Pres Evoker, so we're going to look at that in this video. First of all, the tier bonus on my character, I just realized this looks so dumb, doesn't it? What if I swap forms? Okay, it looks a little better in like human form. But the dragon form looks so dumb, as per usual, unfortunately. But that's what your tier bonus kind of looks like. I just have an extra weapon on as well, but the armor looks not bad. I don't like the purple, to be honest, but the recolors will be cooler. Let's just say that. Okay. What is happening with the spec tree? Well, there's a lot actually. So there's a good like chunk going on here. They took away a couple of talents, and we're going to talk about everything that's happening here.
Yo, guys, the gnome would really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe on the video. All right, thanks, bye.
First and foremost, I will say I just want to talk about Reversion getting 2 charges baseline. So right now, Reversion only has 1 charge. It now gets 2. And there was a talent right here that gave Reversion its 2nd charge. It's now a talent called Unshakable. So first of all, we just gained an extra talent point because Reversion has 2 charges baseline, which is awesome. Then we have Unshakable. Your empowered spells are 10% more effective while charging a healing empowered spell. You cannot be knocked back. This is like kind of interesting for, I would say, a raid encounter where you might get knocked back and it's like really, really serious. I remember Razageth was a really bad one. If you ever did the Razageth fight in the Dragonflight expansion, she had this massive like wave of energy she sent out and it knocked you back really, really far. It kept knocking you back over and over again until you went off the platform. So you had to like Warlock gate it or like Tiger Lust or something. This would be one of those talents where in a niche raid scenario like that, you can prevent yourself from being knocked back, which is pretty cool. I mean, the empowered spell thing is also good. It's also just a travel node to get down to like some of these more powerful ones, but this is not a necessary talent. I would say you could put this somewhere else if you wanted to, maybe even in the bottom. You could get Grace Period instead. You know, you could grab other stuff. So cool that it's there. It's a little bit niche. I think it's good, but not necessary in every single situation. Okay, Time Dilation is getting some huge changes. So the current talent nodes for Time Dilation look like this. So Time Dilation delays damage by 70%. Time Dilation's cooldown is reduced by 2 seconds each time you use an Essence ability. It's now changing. So Time Dilation will now get another charge and its cooldown is reduced by 10 seconds. That's essentially what Just in Time was giving you, but this is way more flexible, right? This gives you 2 charges. So let's say you're in a raid scenario where a huge chunk of damage is coming out and you need to put externals on 2 people now. You can do that. Like, let's say Sludge Fist, right? Remember Sludge Fist from Castle Nathria? He's like going and slamming into a wall and it does massive raid-wide damage. You could external 2 people and have that up every single time the boss is going to do that mechanic. So that's an example of how you could use that. Or you could obviously just use 1 charge on like a tank and then hold the other charge for when you need it in an emergency. So good flexibility, I would say, in terms of the change there. The other talent is very curious. 15% of the damage delayed from Time Dilation is absorbed. This is probably insane on a tank. And if you don't need the 2 charges, you could get what Blizzard is calling like a real external. So if we look at this really quickly, Blizzard's notes are kind of interesting here. They say Preservation doesn't have access to a damage reduction external ability outside of Renewing Blaze as Flame Shaper, which is weird to me because that's what Time Dilation is. It's an external. They're saying it hurts their potential in Mythic Plus content. This opens up possibly for them to save their tank for massive damage. So what I think they're really saying here is, yes, Time Dilation is technically an external, but it doesn't give you any healing or damage reduction of any kind. So it's not the same as an external. It just staggers the damage that you're taking so that the healer has more time to get you back up, or you have more time to get yourself back up. So this additional talent here with Delay Harm turns Time Dilation into a real external because you are now absorbing damage, and the more damage you take, the more you're absorbing. So it really has a cool effect there. I'm going to be very interested to try this out and see how strong this actually is when the Mythic Plus dungeons kind of come out and all that kind of stuff. Let's keep going here. We have Temporal Anomaly is getting a big buff, reduces sorry, not that one. Where is it? thought they talked about it here. Maybe it's lower. Here it is. Sorry. Temporal anomaly absorption is increased by 100%. Absorption beyond 5 targets now diminishes more sharply. So temporal anomaly, the healing that it did, or the absorbs that it gave, sorry, reduced beyond 5 targets, but now they reduce beyond 5 targets like much more quickly. But the absorption is doubled. So on the 5 targets, the initial 5 targets that you're hitting, you are getting a much bigger, you're getting double the absorb, which is pretty sweet, actually. That is actually super nice. I like that. I don't think you're not really doing temporal anomaly for the absorption effect itself. You're doing it to put echoes on people, right? That's really what it's there for. So this is just a nice little quality of life kind of touch up. These talents now, we talked about this other talent down here. I'm going to move down. Emerald Blossom did get a 25% buff. Sorry, I'll put this back in the middle for a second. This is probably useless. I don't think anybody ever uses Emerald Blossom except in a raid potentially, but it's so conditional upon people staying stacked up for you to get the full value out of it. I don't think this is going to change the talents that you're going to take on the spec tree. Like if you're going to take even Ouroboros or something, or down to Cycle of Life, like I don't think that's going to happen. Let me know what you think about that, but I don't think Emerald Blossom is really going to make a comeback here. Just because of this. Dream Flight also is getting buffed. This happened to every healer is getting this treatment. So like Tranquility, Revival, they're all getting Healing Tide Totem. They're all getting Giga buffed, but then the amount of healing that they do out inside of a raid essentially is going to be about the same. Blizzard said in one of the other posts that if you do this in a raid, a 20-man raid, it'll be about the same as it is right now. If you do it in a raid that has less than 20 people, it'll be more powerful. And if you're doing it in 5-man content, it'll be the most powerful that it can possibly be. So you're getting 2.5 times more healing. That's what 150% means in Blizzard math. 2.5 times more healing with Dreamflight. Now, I'm looking at it right here, and the actual number on Dreamflight doesn't seem that good to me. It only does 1 million healing immediately, and then 770,000 over 15 seconds. Just not that good, really, when you think about the amount of health that we're all going to have. We're going to have between like 15 to 25 or 30 million health. So it just doesn't seem like it's that great, in my opinion. Still, it could be buffed a little bit more. Stasis is now a choice with Temporal Artificer. We're going to get into this. These talents have been removed. So Stasis is the last big thing I want to talk about. Stasis was a capstone node that was down here, and it is now up here. This is really cool. Blizzard basically said that they want Stasis to be more flexible. Stasis's power has made it feel required to take, I agree, which forces players into the bottom right capstone branch. By moving it further up the tree, we reduce the opportunity cost of picking Stasis. So at the same time, we're offering an easy-to-play talent that competes with Stasis, so you don't feel required to take it if you don't want to. Now, some people, I think if you're playing Pres Evoker at the highest level, you need Stasis. If you don't really care, you can get 90 seconds off the cooldown of Rewind. Now, this used to be 60 seconds. Now it's 90. So now it would be a 2.5-minute cooldown instead of a 4-minute cooldown. Kind of a very weird place for a major cooldown to sit. Usually they're 3 minutes or 2 minutes, but this one's going to be 2.5. It's kind of wonky, but whatever. I don't think most people are going to take that. They're going to take Stasis. And now you don't have to take these 2 talents down here if you don't want to. You don't have to go to the bottom right side of the tree, which is what Blizzard is trying to accomplish. You could get extra renewing breath here with potentially Dream Flight. Let's say you're doing a Flame Shaper build and you really want Dream Breath healing, but you also want Stasis. This gives you that flexibility now. I think this was one of the bigger problems with Flame Shaper is that it focuses so hard on Dream Breath, and you couldn't really ever buff Dream Breath because you had to go all the way down to the bottom of this tree to get Stasis where it used to be. Now you don't have to. So you could go double points in Dream Breath, and then you could go somewhere else. I don't know. Maybe just go right here with Titan's Gift or something else. But I think this actually buffs Flame Shaper quite a bit in all forms of content and just provides more flexibility now for sure, which is the best part about it. If you want to go get this new buff down here, I'm going to talk about this in a second, you can, but again, that flexibility remains. Hopefully Flame Shaper does feel better. We're going to get into this in the other video that I do, but Flame Shaper is receiving some massive buffs as well, which is super nice. The last thing I want to talk about is Tempo Charge. This is replacing where Stasis used to be. Temporal Compression increases the damage or healing of your next empowered spell by 5% per stack. Temporal Compression is this buff up here. Whenever you cast a bronze spell, your next empowered spell will reach maximum empower up to 40% more quickly. So you can get 40% cast speed on your empowered spells, and now you'll get 20% more damage if you're doing them with 4 stacks of Temporal Compression. So That's super strong. You could do a flame breath, right? If you do, or sorry, fire breath. If you do a fire breath with the 4 stacks of temporal compression and now the 20% more damage on it, with Life Giver's Flame, that means it's going to heal for more because you're going to do more damage. So that's really, really nice. On top of that, you could, if you get a Spirit Bloom that is 20% stronger, and let's say you're running Chrono Warden, the Spirit Bloom hits for 20% more, and then the Spirit Bloom 30% heal that you get on top of that is also going to be a little bit stronger as well because the initial heal is 20% stronger. So there's some great synergy with this. It's a very simple kind of capstone. I don't know how easy it really is to get up to 4 stacks of temporal compression before using your empowered spell. I would say on average you're going to get 2 stacks of temporal compression. Getting all the way up to 4 consistently is kind of a pipe dream, but you're going to be always having at least 2, I would say, which gives you 10% more damage and healing. Maybe it could be buffed a little bit. Maybe that seems a little weak to some of you, but I don't know. We'll have to see what you think. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Lots of great changes here. I would say especially the time dilation stuff. Having 2 charges for flexibility or having a real tank external now, I think is awesome. Not having stasis in the bottom right corner is the other best part about this. You have some flexibility now that you could move to the rest of your tree if you wanted to. Okay, those are the big points there. That's it for the Preservation Evoker changes. I'm going to be doing the tier sets as they relate to the hero trees in the next coming videos, so stay tuned for that if you want to see more Preservation Evoker stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love y'all. Drop a comment down below, and I will see you in the next one.